Preparing to go live.
Got it.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Today is day 6 of our ceremony, a brand new day. Good morning, Marshall.
Morning. Welcome to a brand new day.
Indeed. Welcome to anyone who's joining us. As always, we would love to see some comments saying hello and where you're joining us from. And as a reminder, we're connecting with the grandmother energies with the full moon that is tomorrow. And today is, we're going to focus on the grandmother energies, right, Marshall?
Yeah, we're shifting gears, kind of going from that masculine to that feminine, and seeing how the grandmothers are reacting to this energy here on the planet. First of all, why don't we open ourselves up with a prayer? I think it would be. I'm not sure if customary is the right thing, but since we are going into the grandmother's realm with the full moon, I'm going to ask you, Jigna, if you could open us up with a prayer, calling in all the ancestors.
Okay.
You're the grandmother here today.
Oh my goodness. No pressure. No pressure. All right. Wherever you are, whether you're on the go or sitting down, I want you to just take a couple of deep breaths and just to feel your body. And if you're able, you can go ahead and close your eyes and just feel the sensation of the breath going inside your nose. And when you exhale, the sensation of your breath leaving your body. The breath is our life force. Thank you to our ancestors and the holy ones for joining us today. I ask permission for guidance, for protection, for strength, as we all navigate our own journeys during this time. Thank you, Marshall, and your ancestors for joining us. Thank you, Goldie. Thank you, everybody who's watching, whether you're watching now or whether you're joining us later. I ask for guidance and collaboration as we show up here to support our community of global prayers in this wave of love and praying for peace for all beings. Namaste.
Namaste. Yeah, thank you. You know, last night when we transitioned over into the moon energy, I gave my offerings at sunset for the grandfather sun, asking him to take all of our prayers, all the prayers that happened during those 5 days working with the grandfather, to take our prayers around the world and shine them on all living things. And then we switched over, and after I made my offerings and poured out the waters for the sun energy, then I refilled the moon altar, the grandmother moon altar. And when I did that, I definitely felt a shift of energy. It was like, for me, it was like a softness that came in, a nurturing kind of an energy that came in, and a compassionate energy that came in really, really strong. And so as I was sitting with the grandmothers last night, as the moon arises and was shining bright, I was asking the grandmothers, I said, so during these times, what is it that we as humans can be focusing in on? And right off the bat, the big word came in, and it was endurance. And I thought, whoa, that's pretty crazy, endurance. And so it was very appropriate that they said that, because, as we look around in today's atmosphere, there's a lot of, I'm going to say, challenges that are going on within inside of ourselves. We're feeling the energies of all kinds of different issues that are happening, whether it be our own personal issues, whether we're struggling along with some maybe physical, emotional, or mental elements or whatever. And then we struggle, many of us are struggling with family issues. Family is really important, and when something affects the family, it also affects us, obviously, but it's like, whoa, we have to concentrate on that and move our priorities around of concentration. And then we still kind of consider what's going on, beyond our homes out there in the masses, so to speak. We still have the pandemic going on. And then, on top of all of this, we've had, in recent days, a lot of storms that came in, devastating storms that ravaged our lands, and, with tornadoes and severe storms. And then on top of that, we have this severe heat that's coming in, record-breaking heat. And, people who are living in those environments, it's kind of like, whoa, that's a lot of energy to muster up to just handle, that ongoing situation. And so endurance was an appropriate word that I felt that the grandmothers had shown, is that some way, somehow, we need to find that place in our soul to be able to endure all these things that are happening all at once, all of a sudden, unexpected things, out of the blue, so to speak. And it kind of reminds me of some old emotions that the grandmothers went through when I was young. We had a disease that came through as the measles, and for our people, measles were an unknown thing to us. And so when it came through, just as bad as smallpox when it came through our lands, or the plague or whatever, is that we weren't ready for that stuff. Our bodies weren't ready, and so it took its toll out on a lot of people. And so death was a major issue when situations like that came through our lands. But the grandmothers, they seemed to go way deep inside. I know they didn't show a lot of emotions during those times. I know they were kind of like suppressing their emotions so they can be strong for the people. But I know, with my own grandmother, I can feel her energy shifting, because she was concerned about me. She was concerned about the people, about the lands and the plants and animals. And I knew it was a hardship for her. But it was as though as the grandmothers knew how to gain some extra strength from someplace. And as I look back, I remember their prayers. Their prayers were very, very intent of bringing in the medicine for themselves to be able to help the people. And I think that's what we may want to look at during these times is like, we as individuals, we're challenged with many things that are coming into our personal environment. But it's like the old people, they always say, take care of yourself first before you take care of anybody else. That's kind of like that mantra of, with the airlines, if something happens, you put on your mask first and then you tend to the others. And so it kind of goes back to that, is that in order for us to endure and to navigate through these situations, we need to be strong. Because if we're not, then we're just going to get weaker and weaker and weaker, and then we're no use to anybody, much less ourselves. So I think that's what the grandmothers were showing last night and this morning. And Goldie, now this might be a little crazy, but Goldie, she says, as long as you can keep a smile on your face, you're doing good. If you can't smile, then you're in dire straits, she says. So as long as we can smile, there is a happy place within inside of ourselves, that we can go and just relax for, who knows, maybe 10, 15 seconds. But as long as we can create a smile, we know that, we're in a good place. And then we just, take time out for yourselves in these events that are surrounding you, and just focus in on yourself, relax, just kind of get your composure back so that you can, go and address the situations. And that endurance factor is very important now. Is like, it's like we individuals, we need to find that support from wherever, from the holy ones, from our ancestors, from the Mother Earth, plants, animals, our family, whatever. But first and foremost is that we need to keep ourselves strong so that we can help others. And anyway, that's what I'm getting through the grandmother spirit. So, Chigna, what do you think? What's coming to you?
I was thinking of a couple of things, and how, what does it mean to, you talk about self-care. It's important for you to be in a healthy place before you help others. And I'm curious, from our community, what are some things that you do in order to show up stronger and healthier to the world? And one of the things that came to mind is, which is through my own personal journey, um, is to start setting boundaries, to start saying no. And I know a lot of folks who just can't help it. They have to say yes to everything. So, um, and that was my tendency as well. And it just depleted me to a point where it was just affecting my health. So setting boundaries is something that I had to work on. And the other question I have is, what are some little things that you do to show up for yourself and take care of yourself? And I'm curious to hear about your answers too, Marshall. But one of the simplest things that I do when I'm starting to spiral about something that is bothering me or needs to be taken care of is to bring my mind back to the moment, the present moment. Because 99.9% of the time, you don't need to do anything. You just need to be here right now.
No, I definitely agree with you. For me, for myself, if I feel like I'm taking on too much and it's almost like it's interfering with my energy, that's a big, huge red flag for me. And it's like, whoa, and that red flag means I need to stop. I need to take care of myself, get myself refocused or get myself grounded or whatever. And I'll just clear out my mind, just clear out all of that energy and just let it go for a period of time. and then I'll focus in on myself. And for me, I'll get a smudge stick or whatever, and then I'll concentrate, on the holy ones and the ancestors and all of that energy that supports me. And it's as though I'm asking that energy to be in the forefront of me. And there's an old saying, is like the grandmothers and grandfathers, the old medicine people, they say, yeah, always put your ancestors in front of you. Don't ever leave them behind. And what that means is that if you can call on the ancestors and ask them to clear a path for you, and you follow their lead, that's where I need to go. I need to have my ancestors in front of me, because if I'm out there by myself journeying along, then I'm getting bombarded from all over the place. And that's where that energy field weakens me. So, I concentrate really, really hard. And I just ask the ancestors, the grandmothers and grandfathers, show me a path, show me a way through this spiny forest, if you will. And so I'll continue to do that to regain my energy fields and just concentrate on the energies at my beck and call, if you will, the universe and the grandmother, grandfathers, all of my ancestors, whatever, and I put them in the forefront. And that seems to give me a lot of strength, because now I'm asking them to feed me information. And more often than not, I'll call on the grandmothers now. I'll just look up in the sky and say, okay, grandmas, what do you need me to do? Show me. Show me what needs to happen here, or how I can lend my own energy to whatever's happening or whatever. But I always rely on the grandmothers, because it's in growing up with the elders, the grandmothers seem to be the ones who understood how to problem solve. They would take time and they would think about different things and all the rippling effects of the situation, and then they would come up with some kind of consensus of how to manage the situation. And so it was like they knew how to take care of us, they knew how to nurture us, they knew how to support us and watch over us, protect us. They feed us, they clothe us, they do multiple things. And so they're very, very powerful people, the elders, the grandmothers. And for the most part, all women seem to have that part of themselves, that's kind of that compassion side of themselves. But for me, it's relying on their energy to get me through harsh situations. And so again, I'll focus in on that. I'll take as much time as I need in the midst of all of this calamity that's going on around me. And I'll just call them in and say, okay, grandma, just show me, give me some strength, give me some ideas or some thoughts of how do we deal with the situation. And so for me, it's like I can get into that calm place. I know that the grandmothers are there, and then I call in the grandfathers to protect us all. That no more will come in than we're faced with right now. Just protect us, shield us, shield everybody. And so once I do all of that for myself, and then I start to feel better, I start to feel more relaxed and more clear-headed, I guess, if you will, of what to do next. So those are some of the things that I do for myself to endure the situations. Oh, there's our counterpart out there. Welcome, Linda.
Speaking of grandmothers, is grandmother Linda doing grandmother things? Welcome, Linda. Feel free to unmute yourself. We're talking about self-care and endurance. And how do you set boundaries, and how do you take care of yourself, Linda? Do you need a minute to gather your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I do.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
just a minute.
Okay, well, we'll kind of catch you up on what we were talking about. Like last night when we transitioned over from the sun altar over to the moon altar, it kind of came through really, really strong that we have a lot of issues, a lot of circumstances that are going on sometimes within our own self, a lot of things that are going on with families at this particular time. And then we have, you know, we kind of talked about, yeah, we have the pandemic going on. So that's another added stress out there. Then we have the, you know, the severe storms that are disrupting families in different lands, different parts of the earth. And then we have the heat wave on top of all of that. And then we started talking about family issues, and you know, a lot of people are being blindsided by what's going on in the family unit. You know, and, right before we went online, Jigna and I we were talking about, you know, family, and you know, there's some difficulties that's going on in her family. I know there's some friends of mine that are having difficulties, and on and on and on. And so when we were transitioning over into the moon altar, the moon came up really strong. A big word came through Goldie and through the realms, through the grandmother spirit. It was endurance. And so that's what we're talking about, is endurance, is how do we as individuals manage to have enough strength to go through the issues at hand. You know, where do we get that energy to endure all of these things? So that's our discussion today. So maybe that catches you up a little bit on what we're talking about.
Wow, it certainly does. I think I've been experiencing all of those things recently. You know, what affects me is what affects others. I mean, what affects you, Marshall, affects me because I'm close to you. I know you. What affects Jigna affects me. Yesterday, Jigna, Rosa, and I were doing a kind of a trial Facebook Live so that I could be a host. And we started mentioning the children, kind of, you know, taking up what you had spoken about a couple days ago about the unborn that are coming now and the children that are here now. You know, what kind of a world are we leaving them? And today, when I got up and I set my intentions for the sun altar and the moon altar, it was so that every child that was feeling abandoned, lost, forsaken, betrayed, and abused, that they would find love and support and loving arms to hold them. I'm just so desperate to have them be helped. No child should have to go through that. No child should have to go through not having someone there to turn to. As protectors, as parents, as adults, every adult should be looking out for the welfare of any child, anywhere. And I kind of feel like that's the universal mother and the universal father that is within each of us, is that we should always be looking out for the children, regardless of whether they're our own blood or they're not. Any child that we see that is lost or confused or homeless or hurt or suffering is our responsibility to take up that challenge and provide for them. And in doing so, we're protecting and supporting ourselves too. The people, that the adults that these children will become, because each one of us have been one of those children at some time in our life. That child within us has been hurt, has been betrayed, has been forsaken, has been forgotten, has been abused. And we need to take care of each other in that way. And I think that's part of what the grandmother is. The grandmother is the mother who takes care of it all. She's always there to help and support. So that was my prayer today for setting my intentions, was to ask those children for them to be taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah, that really hits the heart, because what you're describing are the same things that we need as adults. Sometimes we feel like we have this superpower to endure all these crazy things, but way deep down inside, yeah, we need somebody to love us. We need somebody to kind of take the burdens off of our shoulders for a little bit, and give us a reprieve, and saying, hey, we need help too. We need help to help others. And right before you came on, we were discussing, the different ways that we can contribute to ourselves to deal with all of these issues. And I kind of explained, for me, it's like, I need to be surrounded by my ancestors, by the grandfathers, and especially by the grandmothers. And if I don't do that, I feel weakened. And so when I go out and I smudge on, if there's a red flag that I just don't feel capable, I guess, or whatever you want to call that, I need some help, I'll immediately go out wherever I might be, and then I'll just grab a smudge stick, and then I'll just sit with the holy ones for however long it takes, to get that nurturing, to feel their energy around me, to feel that support and that protection, and that gratitude that they're there to help me out. And when I call upon them, I can feel their energy around me, supporting me, and giving me the strength that I need to endure whatever's at hand. But we all need that. We're still children deep down inside. We just grew up too fast and became these adults, and it's almost like, yeah, we're supposed to know it all, but we know a little bit about nothing. We're still learning every day of how to manage this thing called life. But for me, it's like, we're all children, and whatever affects us, that child part of us affects everything outside of us, especially when it comes to children, because we've endured a lot of, I'm going to say, pain, suffering, and sometimes abuse, or neglect, or abandonment, or whatever it might be, growing up as individuals. And so we know internally feelings that children are going through, and we don't want them to go through the same things that we did. And so that spirit comes through, and so it's kind of like, wow, what do we do? How do we help those that can't help themselves? And then that's when the grandmother spirit comes in. And for me, when I see problematic areas, like yesterday we were talking about the borders, right? And families being separated. I lend my energies to the grandmothers and the grandfathers, but more so for the grandmothers. I say, okay, grandmothers, I ask you to go down to the borders to help nurture these families, no matter where they are, whether they're separated or together or not, but nurture them, and create a safe place for them. At least give them some shelter and some food, and a good place to stay. And for me, I know the grandmothers are doing that for me. I'm lending my part out there. But there's something internal that I know when I'm asking the grandmothers to do something, if there's honor and respect and permission and all those things that we've talked about, I know they're going to do it. I don't know how I know they're going to do it, but I know they're going to do it. It's kind of like when the grandfathers, when they were talking and explaining to me how to create rain out of nothing. It's something internal that kicks in that I'm not, maybe it's beyond faith. I don't know. It's something I can't really describe in words, but it's internal. When you believe it and when you know it, when you can visualize it, it will manifest. Another thing that kind of comes into mind too, speaking about this, is that our minds are very powerful. And there's a really good friend of mine, his name is John Mazel. He's a firewalk instructor, lives in Texas. And he teaches people how to walk on fire. And so there's something in our minds that switches some energy field in our body that tells us that if we walk on a bed of coals, we're going to be okay. And so there's a training technique that allows the mind to accept that when we walk on a bed of hot coals, it could be 20 feet long, 30 feet long, 50 feet long, that we're going to be okay. And so the several times that I walked on fire or walked on coals, it was amazing to me of how powerful our mind really is. And so in circumstances like we're talking about now, that heartfelt energy that we have for the children, it's the same thing as walking on a bed of coals. We can do it. But it's almost as though our minds have to believe that whatever we're producing out there in the energy fields, that it will happen. And the stronger we are in our own essence, if you will, that we know it's going to help. That's what all of this is all about, is collectively bringing people together just like ourselves around the planet, that global synchronization, and lending that kind of energy out there to the situations at hand. So that's what it's all about, is getting ourselves into that state of mind, if you will, that when we think about things, or when something comes into mind that's maybe coming in from the divine, something that's entering into our arena, our personal arena, that we need to concentrate on. It's there for a reason. And so we lend our energy to that reasoning, whatever it may be. But I know that we are making a difference. I don't know for how many people, but I know we are making a difference for a lot of people on the planet. Not just the people, but the plants and the animals too, and all living things. Oh.
Thank you, Marshall. I wanted to take a moment and read the comments that have been coming in regarding, how you take care of yourself. Ellen says, I'm experiencing some intense physical issues, and endurance is a strong virtue my parents passed on to me. Goldie is right. Priority is self-well-being, then boundaries are clear, and then self-care is number one. Hi, Goldie. And Ellen also talks about self-care is primary in keeping up our vibrations, so have the strength to endure. Marshall always told me to go where my heart feels the strongest. At those times, I always find myself by the river. Thank you for this, Marshall. And Siska says, I try to have one day in the week without appointments, so I have enough time to recharge myself. Those are really great suggestions. And, there's so many ways, little things, whether it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, to take care of yourself. And when we talk about endurance, it feels like we need those micro dosing moments, whether it's as simple as taking 5 deep breaths, or taking a walk with a friend, or by yourself, or sitting by a tree, or just lying down on grass and connecting with the Mother Earth. So those are the comments that we have so far. Thank you very much, and keep them coming. Linda, did you have any thoughts?
Yes. One of the things that I do to promote my self-care and nurture myself is I go to the trees. The trees are so important in my life. And I know they're so important in many other people's lives as well. The trees are givers. They give and they give and they give and they give and they give. They give us oxygen. They give us materials to build our homes. They give us shelter. They give us shade. They give us fruit. They give us an immense amount of just support in so many ways. They also are a very enduring thing, growth that we have on the earth. So talk about something that's enduring. We've got the trees that, stand and witness time passing, decades, days, weeks, millennia, centuries. They're amazing. And when I'm really feeling the need to rejuvenate myself, I go and I connect with a tree. I walk up to them, I hold them, I touch them, I tell them I'm here and I appreciate you. I tell them how beautiful they are and how much I appreciate them and I love them. And I get that back from them. It's like a huge mirror, for myself. As much as I'm expressing my gratitude, they're expressing their gratitude for me also. So it's a very symbiotic, mutually beneficial kind of an exchange. So that's one of the things that I do to nurture myself is I go out and I hug a tree.
I wanted to add, Linda, something that really resonated is finding that symbiotic relationship. And whether it's, in the trees or by moving waters, for me, the ocean, my relationship to the ocean is very strong. Wherever that is, having that symbiotic relationship is key, because our elements, our Mother Earth has given so much. We keep taking and taking and taking, and she still keeps on giving. She barely can give, and she still does. And that's just how the grandmother energy shows up. It's powerful. And so as we take care of ourselves, we're parenting ourselves as we would our children. And we need to show up once we, get stronger in that. We also start to figure out how to have this symbiotic relationship with the elements around us. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, speaking about the trees, we have many, many ceremonies around the ancient trees. And one of the most powerful places that I know to go and talk with the ancient ones, the ancient trees, is the bristlecone pine in California, way up in the mountains. These are ancient, ancient trees, and when you're amongst them, it's almost as though you're stepping out of time and going into like a cosmic time or a universal time or a galactic time. It's like they've endured so many years here on this planet, things that we don't even know about. But their existence, they're stable, you know, and our people, they talk about the spirit of the tree. The spirit of the tree resides in our ankles, in our feet, in our legs. That's the strength that allows us to stand here upon the Mother Earth. And so the trees give us that strength. And the essence of the trees is teaches us about permission to ask the Mother Earth, you know, whenever we collect energy or resources or whatever, I always ask permission to collect things off of the Mother Earth so that we can use them, you know, and instead of just going out there and grabbing something and it's just like the common thing is people who do camping, and I see this over and over and over again, is that they'll just go out there and collect a bunch of wood and make a fire with no reverence to the trees. You know, it's like a resource. It's like, you know, it's there and they're going to use it no matter what. But there's no respect in that. You know, it's like, and then they make all kinds of goofy looking fires. You know, and I'm like, what are you people doing? Why aren't you in sync with the energy of those trees? You know, the energy of the wood. But anyway, that's just a side note. But you know, the grandmothers, they always talked about the trees, and we have in our lands also not just the bristlecone, but we have the giant sequoia. And the giant sequoia, they've been here on this planet for who knows how many thousands of years also. But in the old ways, there we have a grove and within inside of the giant sequoia that our ancient ancestors put together through the seeds of the sequoia. And I don't know if people know this, but the only way a giant sequoia seed can propagate is through fire. And so way back when, who knows, thousands and thousands of years ago, our ancestors, they planted a grove of trees intentionally, and it's 13 trees. There's 12 trees all the way around, and one giant sequoia right in the center. And it takes a couple of days to go into that old ancient temple. It's kind of like Stonehenge almost in a way. But when you go into that grove that the elders placed there thousands of years ago, it's like you just go into a multi-dimensional arena or an essence, and it kind of like does something to your natural DNA process. It's like, whoa, you know, we're kind of stepping into a place where the beginning spirit really kind of came to life for everything. It's just, I can't even describe the energy that you feel in it. There's other places too in the redwoods, you know, the giant redwoods and the old giant cedars, you know, kind of like up in your atmosphere up there in Washington and Oregon, you know, the giant cedar trees, magnificent, powerful trees. So it's that kind of strength that I feel that we need. We need to stand strong, because if we weaken, then our legs will go out from underneath us, and then we'll have problems with our feet, our ankles. So I would say 99% of the time, when the grandmothers or the healers, the medicine men, if you had any problems with your legs, they would always tell you, go sit with a tree. You need some strength. The tree will help you gain that strength. But it's good we talk about these things, because there's all kinds of different energies that's available to us as individuals. You know, it's that direct link to something that will give us that strength, will give us that endurance, will kind of regenerate our whole body. You know, for me, the mountains is where I gain a lot of strength, and I'll just go out, you know, by myself, just go walk the mountains and just absorb that energy of the mountains. and the other one is the ocean, the ocean where the water comes in with the big waves. And so those are all rejuvenating for me. But yeah, it's good. It's good that we talk about these things, because in these times that we're in right now, there's a lot of things that are in our forefront, and we don't really know what's around the next corner, but we know there's something around the next corner that's going to happen. And it's like sometimes we get afraid of what's going to happen next, right? Because we're getting bombarded with all these issues. But then was a friend of mine in San Luis Obispo, or not San Luis, but Santa Barbara. She was always a worrier. She was worried about all these things that were going on, worried about this, worried about that, worried about this, worried about that. But then she went through a ceremony in South America with some shamans down there, and switched her energy field around. And so when she came back, she was no longer worrying about anything that was to come. She switched her mind around, and she was excited about the things that were coming. And when she told me that, it was like, whoa, that's pretty powerful stuff. It was like, I'm not worried about what's going to happen next, but I'm excited. I'm excited about what's going to happen next. So that's kind of a switch in the mind. Is like, sometimes when we worry too much and we expect bad things to happen, it's like that law of attraction energy, right? Is that sometimes we'll manifest it, through that kind of energy. But if we're excited and to see what's going to happen next, then we eliminate all that negative energy, and yeah, there might be something great that's coming along, that will set everything back into balance for us. But anyway, I just wanted to share that a little bit. I hope.
Thank you, Marshall. And I wanted to add that as we're talking about self-care, the people around us can sense that shift. They feel it, the children specifically. So when you talk about connecting in nature, I started with my kids to teach them to the best that I could how to ask permission. If they want to pick up that shell on the beach or that rock or the piece of wood, and eventually got to a point where they're reminding me to ask permission. So kids have really this natural ability to connect on a level that us grown-ups who have been conditioned socially cannot, and have to learn. So I just wanted to remind ourselves to, as you're connecting your way, and if you're around children, definitely involve them in the process. And so as the timekeeper here, I just wanted to remind us that we're coming towards the end of our session. If there are any questions for Marshall or any pieces of feedback, feel free to comment, as we have another 10 more minutes before we have to journey on. Linda, Marshall, did you have anything to add?
Yes, I do. Marshall talked about the grandmothers, and at this point in our 10-day ceremony is when the grandmothers are coming into the forefront. I've been working with grandmothers for a couple years now, and probably more than that, but consciously in the past couple years. They are always there. So think of them like the air. Okay, the air is always there. The earth is always there. They're that kind of a constant in your life. It's something that most of us are taking for granted. The air we breathe, the earth that we walk upon. But when we ask for help, they are there instantaneously in that moment. And it doesn't matter how small or how large the desire for the help that you need is, or the kind of help that you need. I've asked them before to help me with a complicated tax preparation, and they've been there. I've asked them for help on, a global scale, and they're there. And I can see it immediately. Like within hours, I can see that kind of a shift and a change. I get information that says this has been addressed. This is changing. So it's kind of a miracle. It's a miracle that you can ask for these things to help you, and you can get that help that quickly. It's like, how do they do that? And in my mind, because I have a very vivid imagination, I'm seeing that they're kind of like this giant group of puppeteers in the cosmos. And they kind of sprinkle their hands around like this, and they can affect the change, and they can change somebody's perspective of something, or offers a perspective for these people to look at. I believe that they really can't go and change a person's mind, but they can maybe offer a view that the person can see to go, oh, you know what, maybe, and I can look at this way instead of looking this way. And that changes everything, because perspective is everything. How you perceive things, because this is again through your mind, how you perceive things changes what you see. And it kind of reminds me of that game that is a very old kind of a group game that people used to play. Some people call it telephone. So one person in a group will whisper to the next person a phrase like, all grapes are green. And that person then tells the next person what they heard. And that person tells the next person what they heard, and so on and so forth, until the end person comes up, and then they say, okay, what did you hear? And what they heard was so very different from what the first person said. all giants are preening, or something like this, way different than all grapes are green. So in that aspect of it, the perception changes. And as it changes, so does what we see. So does what we feel. So does what impacts us. And the grandmothers are at the forefront of that kind of thing. They are there, and you can feel their impact. And if you're asking for support, if you're asking for love, you can ask them, and they'll come through. And you'll know it. You'll know it in your belly, in your gut. It's a knowing that, like, that there's air and the earth is beneath your feet. You just know it.
Thank you, Linda. Marshall, do you have any thoughts?
I have a lot of thought. But I think what Linda had come into a reasoning with, that, several videos ago, we were talking about making a place where the Creator, all the holy ones, all of our ancestors, making a place within inside of ourselves where they can reside. And so that place within our soul, it's a place of reverence. It's a place of holiness. Is that we know that within inside of ourselves, we've managed to connect with the holy ones. And so that place, it's just like the place in our home or a temple or a church or whatever in our land, is when we create a place within inside of ourselves where the holy ones can work. And then things like what Linda was discussing, the holy ones recognize that place within inside of ourselves, and so they'll attune to whatever we're asking as long as it isn't ridiculous, right? But it's almost as though we have a sensibility about ourselves, that things that are real to us as individuals, and we need help with that the Holy Ones connects with us in some miraculous way. It's kind of like that great spirit comes in, like that Holy Spirit or whatever we want to call it comes in. It recognizes our needs, and it will manifest those needs for us because we're in that sacred space. You know, we're not just asking because we can ask, but we're asking because we have that reverence inside of us, is that, no, we truly need some help for either ourselves or for something else. And for me, it's as though every day when I wake up, you know, we go outside, we make our morning offerings when the sun comes up. And I'm asking to be a part of this energy this day. It's a brand new day, never ever been used. And so I ask to be a part of it. And so I accept right off the bat in the morning, I give an offering. And so this day, I pray for ahead of time that whatever happens this day, the Holy Ones put it there for me to engage in. And so it's as though I'm keeping my eyes open, my ears open, and my thoughts open, and saying, okay, you know, then that's when I ask the grandmothers and the grandfathers, okay, lead me a path, show me a path of which way to go this day. And so for me, I'm reassured that my ancestors are around me, the Holy Ones are around me, Goldie's around me, and you know, I'm in reverence all day, you know, asking permission to do this, asking permission to do that, thanking the things that are helping me as I go along through each day. And then at sunset, I thank everything that's helped me out today. And I give an offering at sunset before I go to bed as a thank you. Thank you for getting me through this day. I appreciate it. And I clear my mind. I ask Mother Earth to wash all these thoughts out of this day so I can get prepared for tomorrow. And so I have a good rest every night. And so tomorrow, it's another brand new day, and I'll start it over again. But every day, I surround myself with that energy, so I'm not blindsided by what's coming. You know, it may be unexpected things that might show up during the day, but it's already been a given when I ask permission to be a part of this day. I just have to experience this day. Oh, I think those are the kind of like the words I want to share, is like when you ask in the beginning of your day to be surrounded, you know, asking permission to call in the Holy Ones and all your ancestors, surround yourself with that energy and just ask them, show me a path. So I put the ancestors out there in the lead to show me that path. And so whatever they muster up in that path, you know, it's a part of who I am. It's a part of what they need me to help with. So that's the best way I can explain how I get through every day. It's just keeping the ancestors around me. Aho.
Thank you. Thank you, Marshall. Go ahead, Linda.
So Marshall, it had never occurred to me until you just said what you said, that I could actually have and clear my thoughts of the day out of my head and do away with those. All of those burdens, all of the yuck, all of the crap, all of the junk that fills my head with stupid stuff. And I could just wash it away. Never occurred to me that I could do that. So thank you for sharing. That's like amazing. Amazing. Such a simple thing. Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to take that away today for sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, That's a lesson that I learned when I was really young with my grandmother, because she was always emphasizing every day is a brand new day, never ever been used, right? So every day has its own special qualities about it. We're never ever going to see this day. This is a beautiful day. It's a powerful, powerful day. But if our thoughts are embedded with yesterday and a day before and a day before and a day before, we'll never see this day, because our thoughts are too, I'm not sure what's the right word.
It clogs your mind. It clogs your head up.
Confusing. So my grandmother, she said, is that we need to clear our mind so we can see every day the beauty of every day, the essence of every day, and the magic of every day. And so at the end of the day, when the day is done, the day is done. There's nothing else we can do. And so she says, go and ask the Mother Earth, ask the water, ask the spirit of the water to wash all of those thoughts away. Let them go, because they're not needed anymore. They were only needed for today. And so tomorrow when we wake up, it's a brand new day, a fresh day. No thoughts, no memories, no nothing. And so we can relax and we can open our mind up to look at this day without having all that confusion coming in, distracting us from this day. Oh,
Thank you, Marshall. We have one last question for today from Ellen. As we pour the water out this day, what would you say, Marshall?
well, it's like at the beginning of this session is endurance. Ask for endurance to get through this day. And if you haven't already made your offerings for this day, I would suggest to do that immediately, so that the rest of the day wouldn't be so confusing. But again, for me, it's, in order for me to work with Goldie, work with the Holy Ones, my mind needs to be cleared of all that junk that kind of goes from day to day to day to day to day. That's the only way I can communicate or listen to what they're saying. Because if my mind is clogged up with what happened yesterday or the day before or 10 days ago or a month ago or whatever, it interferes with that communication with the Holy Ones. And I think that's the biggest part of being a spiritual leader or being somebody that's spiritual, is clearing your mind out so you can hear the essence of what the Holy Ones are saying. And so today, it's all about endurance, is asking the Holy Ones, asking the grandmothers, the grandfathers, all the ancestors, teach me about endurance. Well, how can I encapsulate that energy of endurance? And so for me, it's like, that's, and Goldie says, we all need strength to get through these times. And that strength comes from the understanding of endurance. Oh.
Thank you, Marshall. And a clear mind, clear heart. That's the comment from Ellen. That's so true. I want to remind everyone that we have our grandmother ceremony tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you have not registered, you are welcome to do so. I will go ahead and post one last time the details of the ceremony. It will be led by Linda, Rosa, and myself, and anyone is welcome. Let's see here. I think I got everything else out there. We will continue to have our daily live. So tomorrow, Linda will be here for sure, and with Marshall. What I'm going to do, if it's okay, Marshall, I'm going to, and Linda, how are you feeling about doing a closing ceremony right now, Linda, for us?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So settle yourself. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And fill yourself with gratitude for all the gifts that you've been given today, for the ears that have listened to you, for the holy ones and our ancestors who have come to assist us, to guide us. We thank you, thank you, thank you. There are so many things for which we are grateful. I don't think I have the words to express it all. So I try by just saying from my heart, thank you for your assistance. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your support. And we bless and praise everyone for doing what they do in love. Oh,